Hello, hello, hello. This is Tiffany with Healthy Passions. If you do not know me, let me briefly introduce myself. I am a certified personal trainer, certified wellness coach, certified energy healer by birth. I am an oracle, prophetess, and a natural healer. Today we're going to finish off our types of witchcraft series. I have one more after this one, and then that series is done. It was a very long series, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys had an opportunity to learn about each type of witchcraft. But I'm more than ready to get this series over with. I did the research on this over almost 3 months ago, so I'm ready to move forward. But let's get it started. All right. Today we're going to focus on sacrificial witchcraft. Right? Sacrificial witchcraft or sacrificial magic, wherever you are, that depends on what they call it, but either or. So let's get going. All right. So sacrificial magic is the immortal form of witchcraft used to channel power from offspring. Depending on who or what is sacrificed, the witch has the potential to be not only mystically enhanced but also physically stronger. This type of magic can be used to channel the magic the channel the magic that's held within the practitioner's offspring. For example, sacrificing a human who possesses no magical abilities would be of no benefit to a witch seeking to gain power. Although a witch that practices sacrificial magic may sacrifice a regular snake, goat, or birds to achieve certain spells. It is their thought process to sacrifice a supernatural being like a vampire, a werewolf, or another witch, or a chosen one. Reason being, they believe that they can channel said abilities of the supernatural being, abilities like additional strength, speed, healing abilities, or enhancing their own magical power. This can be channeled because darkness begets darkness. Witches and wizards are often disappointed when they cannot channel the abilities of the chosen ones. With what does darkness have to do with light? So, what does darkness have to do with light? Right? The best witches can do to a chosen one is to siphon our energy, right? Instead of taking it from us. Like siphon. Give me a moment, guys. My house is celebrating the thunder. So y'all were gonna get an earful of thunder reporting if I didn't pause the video, but I'm coming back and picking up where we left off. All right. So witches and wizards are often disappointed when they realize that they cannot channel the abilities of the chosen ones. What does darkness have to do with light? The best witches can do to a chosen one is to siphon our energy when we are in sin or out of Yah's will. Okay. The chosen ones, excuse me, guys, I have allergies, so I'm scratching and just going on, but I want to get this finished. There are chosen ones. Their chosen ones aren't protected, right? So if you are a chosen one, but you are outside of the will of Yah, which means you are outside of the covenant, which means you are outside of divine protection, that's when they can siphon and attack your energy, right? In most cases, depending on the situation, the Most High will not, even in that state, allow them to eliminate or to kill a chosen one still, because we're still protected to a certain extent, okay? Depending on how far out you are. All right. So the chosen ones aren't protected. So the chosen ones can only be their sacrifice if we turn ourselves over to sin. Like if we turn ourselves over to sin and we decide and make a conscious decision to stay in sin or to go into perpetual sin, or the Most High is tired of dealing with us and he gives us over to a reprobate mind, then they can eliminate or kill a chosen one, right? Or sacrifice a chosen one. That's usually how that happens. But for the most part, it's very rare. Okay? So But what is not rare is them siphoning the energy of us. They do that all the time, especially if we don't know our potential, if we don't know who we are, when we're coming up, when we're young, when we're naive, then yeah, they definitely siphon our energy for a very long time until we figure out who we are and how to stop them from doing so and how to fight back in the spirit, right? So that's how that works. All right, so give me a second here. All right, so once that chosen one is given over into sin, I've only seen one chosen one in my experience be sacrificed. And it was a very sad situation. But once they're turned over into sin, then the enemy has the legal contracts and the legal rights to cause us death or extreme harm. All right? Ways practitioners channel the sacrifices. All right, so there are various ways they channel. So we'll start with just a few. I did these so that you can kind of get a concept of it. I didn't go into extreme detail because I would be on here a very, very long time. And this series would be a lot longer than what it already is. All right, so number one, using various different supernatural creatures to enhance their powers, including an example like Papa Legba carving a symbol into the foreheads of his witch sons, his twin sons, so that they could act as a conduit for the magic he was channeling, right? Which kept them alive. Whereas non-original vampires or werewolves would be killed in that sense to get the process of channeling or keeping their energy or taking their energy in order for him to absorb all of their powers. Okay. In the case of the original vampires, which cannot be killed, so that's a separation. So if it's an original vampire, it cannot be killed by anything but white oak stake, right? The so-called sacrifice would instead produce an unlimited source of power. So what they would do is try to trap the original vampire and keep them supernaturally enclosed in an enclosure and then channel unlimited power from them instead of being able to kill them per se. All right, so an unlimited power source for the witch that can channel the energy for them. Other creatures wouldn't typically be killed in this process, but original vampires would just be desiccated, not killed. All right, so the other types they would be killed, but that type is like an unlimited source, so it would make sense to kill them, right? They would be the ideal source for these sacrifices. Animal sacrifices is another branch of this type of magic, example of which using a python to perform a soul bonding spell. Each witch or wizard could have their own personal brand of symbols, so never assume like the forehead symbols will be the same, like the little markings that they make. Also, they use burning candles near the vertices, I can't even say that, of the circle. Okay, so you'll see a circle and then you'll see those burning candles, right? You see them. Usually they have a star there, a circle, and at each point they will put a candle. Sacrificial magic is considered the greatest violation of life. Witches and warlocks use every tool at their disposal to use this magic, including their friends. All right, so they will use other people as pawns. They don't, and once they get this dark and this far into it, they don't necessarily care who it is. They just do what they need to do to get what they want. This magic is extremely dangerous. The dangers of sacrificial magic or witchcraft. Number one, loss of personal values. Practicing sacrificial magic involves not just sacrificing physical entities, but also memories, emotions, and one's humanity. So the person that is practicing it, the further, the deeper, and the more often they do this violation, they lose their humanity, their memories, parts of them each time. Every time you do witchcraft, it comes with a price. That's why I always teach against witchcraft. Magic in itself is not necessarily bad, but witchcraft, always. Whether it's white or black magic, doesn't matter. It comes at a cost because you're operating outside of the will of Yah. You're operating outside of Yah to get what you want, right? And that is the spirit of rebellion. All right? Sacrificial magic. Number 2, immortal practice. This type of magic is often viewed as an immortal form of witchcraft that challenges power from offspring, which can lead to negative consequences for the practitioner. Number 3, physical harm. Sacrifices may involve physical harm, such as ritual killings. All right. Number 4, spiritual risk. Practicing sacrificial magic can lead to spiritual mishaps and negative consequences, such as reversal of spell work. Basically, it coming back, the spell work not happening to the intended victim, but coming back to the practitioner, right? Spiritual attacks, possession, mental illness, unintended demonic covenants or contracts, family curses. You've heard of family curses being passed along. Retaliation, spiritual bondage, addictions, gateways to all manners of sin, right? So it's an open door. It's a portal to other sins and giving stronger demons access to you. Also death, and the worst of all, removing the ability to repent and come into covenant with the Most High. So guaranteed damnation for eternity. All right, so guaranteed damnation into eternity, hell. Okay, so that is some of the consequences that you can't take back, especially dealing with this type of witchcraft. All right. I did possession and invocation in another video, so I'm going to skip that part. And the next video will be, give me a second guys, I got my notes here. Make sure, this might be the last video. Let me check, guys. Give me a moment. I have a lot of notes. The next one is going to be curses and hexes. I think I did these two, but I'm going to check. I think I'm going to do a separate video with curses and hexes, so that's why I left that at the end. I think it was included in one video, but I think it deserves its own little section. Matter of fact, if y'all don't mind, I have a lot of other stuff that I want to get to. I think since this video is only about 13 minutes so far, I'm going to just add it to this one and put it in the title. All right, so curses and hexes. All right, it deserves its own little section. So a curse might be something that deeply impacts a person's entire life, whereas a hex often is seen as more of a annoyance or an obstacle. Okay, long-term effects. While hexes can certainly have long-term effects, consequences, and things like that, right? But curses usually are the long-term effects, okay? Hexes. The definition of a hex is generally considered a more short-term or temporary form of harmful magic. It's usually a spell or an enchantment that causes an obstacle or bad luck or misfortune for a person or situation, but may not necessarily be as severe or long-lasting as a curse. All right, so we have those two distinctions. Right? The intent behind a hex is often to create blockages, confusion, or minor misfortune rather than causing permanent harm. It's often seen as a form of spiritual slap, in a way, something that throws a person off balance or causes difficulty for a period of time, but it isn't necessarily designed to ruin their entire life. The effects of a hex are generally temporarily temporarily lasting anywhere from a few days to a few months, depending on how strong the magic was that was put into it. It could manifest as bad luck, a series of small, frustrating events, or sudden obstacles in achieving a goal. Hexes are typically to just slow down someone's progress in like a job project or something like that, or to cause them to feel stuck or make them face constant small obstacles like a distraction, right? Hexes are used for slowing down someone's progress in a job project, cause them to feel stuck. I'm sorry, I wrote that twice. Let's go about curses real quick. All right, so here we are for curses. A curse is typically a spell or invocation intended to bring harm, misfortune, and suffering to a person or a group or situation. It is important to acknowledge that curses carry significant ethical, spiritual, and karmic consequences. So it is widely known if you send a curse that it has consequences, right? Not necessarily that, not good ones, consequences. All right. So Wicca or neo-pagan practices caution against cursing. All right, as it is believed that harmful energy will eventually return to the practitioner, often more intensely. They have the power of three, so they think that they typically, the general consensus is 3 times as much. But when you do it to a chosen one, I've seen it as 10 times as much return. So you got to be careful, and you should know if you try to curse a chosen one, it's going to be more intense. All right. All right, so there are various methods and systems used for cursing. The process generally involves invoking spiritual and demonic forces using intense emotional energy and focuses on the desired or outcome, typically to cause harm, suffering, or misfortune, all of which is extremely dangerous, especially when the curse backfires on the practitioner. Hexes are done through chanting, by using the target's personal items, burning, burying, or destroying the item. Right. So it's not as detailed, but it's still an issue, and you still will get repercussions for doing so. So with the cursing, hold on. These dark practitioners go through all of this in an effort to harm Yah's people. So they'll do this effort. Number 1, they'll set their intention. Number 2, gather the tools and ingredients. Number 3, focus their energy. Then they perform the ritual or spell. They close the ritual or spell. Okay, that's just how they do it. It's that simple. So anybody could do that. So you need to be aware of your surroundings and use discernment with who you deal with. So there are different types of hexes. Okay? Obstacle hexes, hexes for financial, hexes for health, hexes for relationship, hexes for binding, love hexes, misfortune hexes, cross hexes to cause confusion basically, and misdirection and mentally disturbance in your mind. Court case or legal hexes, binding or freeing spells. There are organized and extremely intentional, right? I think that's all I had, but those, I wanted to give it its own little highlight because this is a very common issue, especially against Yah's people. You don't have to do anything for anyone to do this for you. They could just be threatened by your presence. They may not like your smile. They may not like the gifts that the Most High gave you and that you operate in. They don't like your purpose. They don't like, it could be anything. And that's why I wanted to kind of highlight the hexes and curses just in a section on their own. I love you guys. This completes the types of witchcraft series. There are a lot of videos, so there's a lot of information, so there is no confusion. Most High's people should be taught this information in their churches, but they purposely do not teach this in churches because they're actually using these techniques in a lot of churches against you. So It is what it is. They tell you to stay away from these things, but they don't tell you why. Well, it is part of my purpose and part of my calling and my anointing to study these things, teach about it, and inform God's people as well as myself. My bloodline is used to combat this. We're used to sniff it out, get rid of it. We're used to help people heal from it, get out of it, and remove it. So that is something that my bloodline has always done and will always do. My sons are capable of the same things that I am capable of because the gifts that we share are generational. All right? I love you guys. Take care. Watch out for all this foolishness. I love you. Have a good day.